Today, you'll hear the heartbreaking story of a young girl who lost her mother and how her simple words changed the life of a powerful CEO. Before this moving story, tell us where you're listening from and leave a like if you enjoy it or comment. The rain pattered against the tall windows of the Manhattan high-rise, casting long shadows across the polished marble floor of Spencer Grayson's penthouse apartment. At 45, Spencer had everything money could buy. CEO of Grayson Industries, a tech empire valued at billions, with offices in 12 countries and over 10,000 employees. His home reflected his success. Minimalist furniture, abstract art worth millions, and panoramic views of Central Park that most New Yorkers could only dream of. But on this particular Thursday morning, Spencer's perfectly controlled world was about to collide with a reality he had carefully avoided for years. Mr. Grayson, I'm sorry, but there's been a change with the household staff today. His house manager, Richard, explained as Spencer scrolled through emails on his phone, barely glancing up. Maria couldn't make it. Her daughter is sick. We've sent a replacement. She's highly recommended by the agency. Spencer waved his hand dismissively. Fine. Just make sure she knows where everything is. I have the board meeting at 11 and the Tokyo conference call at 2. Richard nodded and retreated, leaving Spencer to his morning routine. The new maid, Elena Vasquez, was already quietly moving through the apartment, dusting surfaces and straightening items with practiced efficiency. At 36, Elena had been cleaning homes for wealthy New Yorkers for over a decade since immigrating from Mexico. She needed the extra shifts to cover her daughter's school expenses, especially now. Spencer barely registered Elena's presence as he prepared for his day. He was reviewing acquisition documents when his phone rang. It was his ex-wife, Catherine. Spencer, we need to talk about this weekend, Catherine said, her voice carrying that edge it always did when discussing their arrangements. What about it? I'm picking Lily up at 7 on Friday, as agreed. That's why I'm calling about. She's been different since the funeral. More withdrawn. I'm not sure if. Spencer cut her off. Catherine, we've had this custody arrangement for 3 years. I get her every third weekend. It's in the agreement. This isn't about legal agreements, Spencer. This is about what Lily needs right now. Her teacher says she's barely talking at school. Kids are resilient. She'll be fine, Spencer replied, checking his watch. I have to go. I'll see Lily tomorrow evening. He ended the call, irritated by the interruption. Spencer had mastered the art of compartmentalizing his life. Business in one box, his obligations as a father in another, each with its appropriate time allocation. Since the divorce, he maintained his relationship with his 8-year-old daughter with the same efficiency he brought to business meetings, scheduled, predictable, and managed within clear boundaries. While Spencer prepared for his meeting, Elena worked methodically through the apartment. In the kitchen, she noticed the refrigerator contained mostly takeout containers and energy drinks. The dining room table was covered with papers rather than place settings. Everything about the home suggested someone who lived there, but didn't really inhabit the space. Elena was dusting the shelves in the living room when she noticed a small, framed photograph partially hidden behind books. It showed a younger Spencer with a pretty woman and a toddler, all smiling. The contrast between that image and the stern, detached man she'd glimpsed this morning was striking. She carefully returned the photo to its half-hidden position. Friday evening arrived with a fresh downpour. Spencer's driver pulled up to Catherine's brownstone in Brooklyn promptly at 7. Spencer waited in the car, answering emails on his tablet, until Catherine appeared at the door with Lily. Lily clutched a small backpack and a worn stuffed rabbit. At 8 years old, she had her mother's delicate features and Spencer's serious gray eyes. Her long brown hair was neatly braided, and she wore a purple raincoat that seemed too bright against her solemn expression. Remember what we talked about? Catherine was saying quietly to Lily as Spencer approached under an umbrella. Call me anytime if you want. Hello, Lily, Spencer said, with the slight awkwardness that always characterized their first moments together. Ready for the weekend? Lily nodded silently, her eyes downcast. She hasn't been sleeping well, Catherine told Spencer in a lowered voice. And please, try to talk with her about Jennifer. The therapist says it's important that she processes everything. Spencer stiffened. I know how to take care of my daughter, Catherine. The drive back to Manhattan was quiet. Spencer attempted his usual questions about school, but Lily's responses were minimal. Eventually, he returned to emails on his phone while Lily stared out at the rain-slicked streets. At the apartment, Elena was finishing up her evening duties. Spencer had requested she stay late on Friday to prepare dinner for his daughter's arrival, something he'd never done before with the regular staff. Mr. Grayson, Elena greeted them as they entered. Dinner is ready whenever you'd like it. Thank you, Spencer replied, hanging up his coat. Lily, this is Ms. Vasquez. She's helping out this weekend. Lily looked up at Elena with large, solemn eyes, offering no greeting. Hello, Lily, Elena said warmly. I made mac and cheese with little hot dogs cut up in it. My daughter Sophia says it's the best dinner in the world. A flicker of interest crossed Lily's face. You have a daughter? Yes, she's 10, just a bit older than you. Spencer checked his watch. Let's get you settled, Lily. Dinner in 15 minutes? While Spencer showed Lily to her room, a perfectly appointed space that looked barely used, Elena set the dining table. She had taken extra care with dinner, remembering what her own daughter enjoyed at Lily's age. When they sat down to eat, Spencer attempted conversation again. How's the science project coming along? The one with the planets. Lily pushed her food around the plate. We finished that last month. Oh, well, what are you working on now? Nothing important. Spencer frowned slightly, then his phone buzzed. Excuse me for just a moment, he said, stepping away from the table to take the call. Left alone, Lily watched Elena as she moved around the kitchen, cleaning up cooking utensils. Do you clean houses every day? Lily asked suddenly. Elena turned, surprised by the question. Most days, yes. Different houses on different days. Do you ever get to see your daughter? Of course. I'm home every evening, and we have weekends together. Lily considered this. My dad is very busy. He has important meetings. Elena dried her hands on a towel, choosing her words carefully. I'm sure he does. But you know what? You're his most important job. Lily looked skeptical. More important than Tokyo? Elena smiled. Much more important than Tokyo. Spencer returned to find Lily actually eating her dinner. Sorry about that. Urgent business matter. It's okay, Lily said. Ms. Vasquez says I'm your most important job. Spencer looked startled, then uncomfortable. Well, of course you are. After dinner, Spencer settled Lily in front of a movie while he retreated to his home office to finish some work. Elena completed her duties and prepared to leave. Mr. Grayson, I've finished everything for today, she said, standing at his office door. Thank you. Will you be back tomorrow? Yes, at 9 as scheduled. Spencer nodded, already looking back at his computer screen. Elena hesitated, then added, Your daughter is a lovely girl. Something in her tone made Spencer look up. Yes, she is. Thank you for dinner. She actually ate it, which is unusual these days. Children sometimes find comfort in simple things when times are difficult. Spencer's expression closed. Yes, well, good night, Ms. Vasquez. Are you enjoying our story? Let us know where you're watching our videos from. Share your city in the comments, and tell us what kind of stories you'd like to hear next. We'd love to hear your suggestions. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, Spencer sat in his living room with a glass of scotch, the city lights twinkling below. He found himself thinking about Elena's words. Your daughter is a lovely girl. There had been something in her expression, not judgment exactly, but a kind of knowing that made him uncomfortable. Spencer rarely allowed himself to dwell on his shortcomings as a father. He provided financially for Lily, maintained his visitations schedule religiously, and made sure she had everything she needed. If he kept a certain emotional distance, it was only because that was his nature. He'd never been demonstrative, even before the divorce. But lately, Catherine's concerns have been more pointed. Lily was withdrawing, struggling in school, and there was the matter of Jennifer's death, which Spencer had carefully avoided discussing with Lily. Jennifer had been Catherine's younger sister, Lily's beloved aunt. After the divorce, Jennifer had often cared for Lily when Catherine worked late. They developed a special bond, the kind of easy, affectionate relationship that Spencer found himself incapable of establishing with his own daughter. When Jennifer died suddenly from an aneurysm 3 weeks ago, Spencer had attended the funeral but left immediately after, citing an important meeting in Chicago. He'd sent flowers and made a donation to the charity mentioned in the obituary. In his mind, he'd done what was required. Saturday morning brought clearer skies. Spencer awoke to find Lily already up, sitting cross-legged on the living room floor with her coloring books. It struck him suddenly how small she looked in the vast, austere space of his apartment. "Good morning," he said. "Have you been up long?" Lily shook her head. "Just a little while. What would you like to do today? We could go to the Museum of Natural History, or maybe the Central Park Zoo." Lily shrugged, not looking up from her coloring. "Whatever you want." Spencer felt a flicker of frustration. "Lily, I'm trying to plan something you'll enjoy." "It doesn't matter," she said quietly. Elena arrived precisely at 9, bringing a fresh energy into the apartment. "Good morning. What a beautiful day after all that rain." Lily looked up and offered a small smile, more reaction than she'd shown to Spencer. "Hi, MS. Vasquez." "Hello, Lily. I see you're coloring. May I look? I love art." As Elena admired Lily's work, Spencer retreated to the kitchen, feeling oddly displaced in his own home. He poured himself coffee and checked his phone. 15 new emails since he'd last looked before bed. "Mr. Grayson," Elena said, entering the kitchen. "I brought something for Lily, if that's okay. Just some cookies I baked with my daughter yesterday." "That's very thoughtful," Spencer replied, somewhat taken aback. "Sophia suggested it. When I told her about Lily, she thought homemade cookies might help. Children understand these things sometimes." "What things?" Elena met his gaze directly. "Grief, Mr. Grayson. Children understand grief in their own way." Spencer felt a cold discomfort. "I appreciate your concern, but my daughter's emotional state is not something you need to worry about." "Of course," Elena said, her expression neutral. "I'll prepare breakfast." Throughout the morning, Spencer noticed how differently Lily behaved with Elena. She asked questions about Elena's daughter, helped set the table for lunch, and even laughed when Elena told a story about her cat getting stuck in a neighbor's tree. With him, Lily remained polite but distant. They did go to the zoo that afternoon without Elena. Lily showed brief interest in the snow leopards, but otherwise seemed to be simply going through the motions. Spencer found himself increasingly frustrated, unsure how to reach her. "Would you like an ice cream?" he asked as they passed a vendor. "No, thank you." "Are you sure? You always want chocolate ice cream." "I'm not hungry." Spencer stopped walking. "Lily, what's wrong? You've barely spoken all day." Lily looked up at him, her gray eyes, so like his own, suddenly filling with tears. "Nothing's wrong. Can we go home now?" Spencer felt people looking at them. A crying child, a father clearly out of his depth. "Of course," he said quickly, taking her hand. "Let's head back." That evening, after another quiet dinner, Spencer received an urgent call from his CFO about a problem with the Tokyo deal. He retreated to his office, telling Lily he'd only be an hour. 3 hours later, he emerged to find Elena sitting with Lily in the living room, reading her story. "I'm sorry," Elena said, standing quickly. "She couldn't sleep, and I heard her crying when I was finishing in the kitchen. I hope it's okay that I stayed." Spencer felt a confusing mix of gratitude and embarrassment. "Of course. Thank you. I didn't realize it had gotten so late." After Elena left and Lily was finally asleep, Spencer poured himself another scotch and stood by the windows, looking out at the city. For the first time in years, he felt genuinely lost. His carefully compartmentalized life was failing him. He didn't know how to help his daughter, and the realization frightened him more than any business crisis ever had. Sunday morning brought a different routine. Spencer deliberately set his phone aside and suggested they make pancakes together. Lily seemed surprised, but agreed. Their efforts were messy and the results uneven, but for a brief time, the tension between them eased. Elena arrived to find them actually laughing over their culinary disaster. "Well, look at this. A proper Sunday breakfast. Dad, let me flip the pancakes," Lily explained. "Some of them ended up on the floor." "The best chefs make the biggest messes," Elena assured her, rolling up her sleeves to help clean. As they worked together, Spencer found himself watching the easy way Elena interacted with Lily. There was nothing forced about it, nothing awkward were uncertain like his own attempts. MS. Vasquez, Spencer said later, when Lily had gone to get dressed. May I ask you something personal? Of course. How do you connect so easily with children? With Lily. Elena considered the question. I don't think there's a secret to it, Mr. Grayson. Children just want to be seen and heard. They want to know they matter, especially when they're hurting. And you think Lily is hurting. I know she is, Elena said gently. Loss changes everything for a child. Their whole world feels different, unsafe. Spencer looked away. Her aunt died. It's sad, but what? You think because she's young, she'll forget? Or because it wasn't her mother, it doesn't cut as deeply? Spencer stared at her, startled by her directness. Elena continued, her voice softening. Forgive me for speaking plainly, but grief doesn't work that way. For Lily, losing her aunt was losing someone who made her feel loved and special. That kind of loss stays with you. Spencer wanted to dismiss her words, to retreat behind his authority as employer and father, but something stopped him. I don't know how to talk to her about death. I don't know what to say. You don't always need the right words. Sometimes you just need to be present with her pain. Their conversation was interrupted by Lily returning, dressed in jeans and a purple sweater that Jennifer had given her for Christmas. Spencer felt a tightness in his chest at the sight. The day passed quietly. Spencer canceled a video call he'd scheduled for the afternoon and instead helped Lily with a school project she'd mentioned. It wasn't much, but it was something different, a small breach in the wall that had grown between them. As evening approached and the time to return Lily to Catherine drew near, Spencer noticed his daughter becoming increasingly withdrawn again. She packed her backpack methodically, checking each item twice. Are you ready to go? He asked from her doorway. Lily nodded without looking up. Did you have an okay weekend? Another nod. Spencer sighed. Lily, I know I'm not. I know things have been difficult lately. If you want to talk about Aunt Jennifer, you don't like talking about sad things? Lily interrupted, her voice small but certain. The simple truth of it struck Spencer like a physical blow. That's probably true, but I can try. For you. Lily finally looked at him, her expression serious beyond her years. Why don't you have any pictures of her here? Mom has pictures everywhere. Spencer hadn't expected this question. I don't have many photographs here of anyone. But you have one of me and Mom hidden behind your books. So she had noticed that. That's different. Why? Spencer sat down on the edge of Lily's bed, trying to find words. Sometimes, when people get divorced, it's hard to look at certain memories. Is that why you don't want to talk about Aunt Jenny? Because it's hard. Maybe, Spencer admitted. Adults don't always handle difficult things well. Lily considered this, then reached into her backpack and pulled out a small photo in a simple frame. It showed her and Jennifer at the beach last summer, both smiling widely at the camera. Mom gave me an extra one. You can have it if you want. Spencer took the photo, feeling a tightness in his throat. Thank you, Lily. That's very thoughtful. Elena appeared at the door. Excuse me. I've finished everything for today, Mr. Grayson. Thank you, MS. Vasquez, Spencer said, rising from the bed. For everything this weekend. Elena smiled. It was my pleasure. Goodbye, Lily. It was wonderful meeting you. Goodbye, MS. Vasquez, Lily said, then hesitated before adding, Will you be here next time I visit my dad? Elena glanced at Spencer. I'm not sure. That would be up to your father. We'll see, Spencer said, not wanting to make promises. After Elena left, Spencer and Lily gathered her things for the drive back to Catherine's. As they waited for the elevator, Lily suddenly took Spencer's hand, something she hadn't done spontaneously in months. Dad, she said quietly, I need to tell you something. What is it, sweetheart? Lily hesitated. Then the words came in a rush. My mom died yesterday, she whispered. Then, seeing Spencer's confused expression, added, That's what I told MS. Vasquez yesterday, when you were on the phone. I told him my mom died. Spencer froze, stunned. Lily, why would you say something like that? Your mother is fine. We just saw her on Friday. I know, Lily said, tears forming. But MS. Vasquez was so nice, and she was listening to me, and I wanted her to know why I was sad. But I couldn't tell her about Aunt Jenny because... Her voice broke. Because why, Lily? Because you never want to talk about her. Lily cried. And I miss her so much it hurts inside. And nobody lets me talk about it. Mom just cries when I mention her. And you pretend nothing happened. So I made up a story for MS. Vasquez. Spencer knelt down to Lily's level, his heart breaking at the pain in her voice. Lily, I'm so sorry. I thought. I thought I was protecting you by not bringing up sad things. I was wrong. Aunt Jenny used to say that sad things don't go away just because you don't talk about them. They just get bigger inside you. Spencer pulled Lily into a hug, feeling her small body shake with sobs. Your Aunt Jenny was very wise, he whispered. Much wiser than me. They stood there in the hallway, Spencer holding his daughter as she cried for the aunt she'd loved and lost. For the first time, he didn't try to hurry her tears or distract her from her grief. He simply held her, feeling his own eyes sting with unshed tears. The drive to Catherine's was different this time. Lily sat close to Spencer in the back seat, telling him stories about Jennifer. Funny moments, special outings, the secret handshake they'd invented. Each memory seemed to lighten something in Lily, as if the simple act of sharing these stories was a relief. When they arrived, Catherine was waiting at the door. She looked surprised at the sight of Lily holding Spencer's hand as they walked up the steps. How was your weekend? Catherine asked carefully. It was okay, Lily said. Dad, I talked about Aunt Jenny. Catherine's eyebrows rose as she looked at Spencer. We did, Spencer confirmed. We have a lot more to talk about, but it's a start. After Lily went inside to unpack, Spencer lingered on the doorstep. Catherine, I need to tell you something. I've been wrong in how I've handled all this. Not just Jennifer's death, but a lot of things with Lily. Catherine studied him, skepticism clear in her expression. What brought this on? Spencer thought about the events of the weekend. Elena's quiet wisdom, Lily's devastating confession, the photo now in his pocket. Let's just say I got some perspective from an unexpected source. I want to do better for Lily. I need to do better. Well, Catherine said after a moment, that would be a welcome change. The following morning, Spencer arrived at his office earlier than usual. He had several calls to make before the day properly began. First, he contacted the staffing agency and requested that Elena Vasquez be assigned permanently to his apartment. Then he called his assistant and rearranged his schedule for the next 2 weeks, clearing his Thursday evenings. I'd like to set up a standing appointment, he told Catherine when he called her. Every Thursday after school, I'll pick Lily up and take her to dinner, then bring her home by 8, outside of our regular weekends. There was a long pause on the line. Why? Because 3 days a month isn't enough. Because I want to hear about her science projects while they're still happening. Because Spencer took a deep breath. Because she needs to know she's my priority, not just my obligation. After finishing his calls, Spencer placed the framed photo Lily had given him on his desk, next to his computer. Jennifer's smiling face looked back at him, her arm around Lily on that sunny beach day. The following Thursday arrived, marked on Spencer's meticulously organized digital calendar not as a business meeting or a conference call, but simply as Lily dinner. He left his office promptly at 5, a rare occurrence that raised eyebrows among his executive team. His driver, accustomed to Spencer's late-night departures, seemed equally surprised. As the car pulled up to Catherine's brownstone, Spencer felt a familiar knot of anxiety in his stomach, a sensation he usually reserved for high-stakes negotiations. This was different. This was personal. Lily emerged, backpack slung over one shoulder, a slight frown on her face. Hi, Dad. She mumbled, her eyes still downcast. The initial awkwardness was palpable, a thick silence filling the car as they drove towards a quiet Italian restaurant Spencer had chosen, hoping for a less formal setting than his penthouse. So, Spencer began, clearing his throat. How was school today? Anything interesting happen in science? He tried to sound casual, but his voice felt stiff, unnatural. Lily shrugged. It was fine. We learned about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, Spencer repeated, grasping for a connection. That's when plants make their own food, right? From sunlight. Lily nodded, a hint of surprise in her eyes. Yeah, and water and carbon dioxide. Right, Spencer said, a small victory. Fascinating stuff. He paused, searching for the next thread. And your friends? Did you play with anyone special at recess? Just Maya, Lily replied, picking at a loose thread on her backpack strap. The conversation continued in fits and starts, punctuated by long silences. Spencer found himself mentally reviewing Elena's words. You don't always need the right words. Sometimes you just need to be present with her pain. He tried to simply be present, to listen more than talk, to observe. He noticed the way Lily's gaze drifted to the window, the slight tremor in her hand as she held her water glass. He resisted the urge to check his phone, leaving it face down on the table, a silent commitment. When her food arrived, Lily seemed to relax slightly. Spencer truly watched her for the first time in a long while. He saw the delicate curve of her cheek, the way her brow furrowed in concentration as she cut her pasta. He saw Jennifer's eyes in hers, and for the first time, the memory didn't sting with avoidance, but with a gentle ache of shared loss. Lily, Spencer said softly, Aunt Jenny used to tell me funny stories about when she and your mom were little. Did you know she once tried to teach a squirrel to tap dance in Central Park? Lily's head snapped up, her eyes wide. A small, hesitant smile touched her lips. Really? Absolutely, Spencer affirmed, a genuine smile spreading across his face. She said it was very uncooperative, kept trying to bury the acorns instead of tapping. Lily giggled, a sound Spencer hadn't heard from her in weeks. It was a fragile sound, but it was there. Aunt Jenny was silly sometimes, she said, her voice a little stronger. Spencer agreed, feeling a lightness he hadn't known he was missing. She was also one of the kindest people I ever knew. He paused, taking a breath. And she loved you very, very much, Lily. More than anything. Lily's eyes welled up, but this time they weren't tears of silent sorrow. They were tears of acknowledgement, of shared remembrance. Spencer reached across the table and gently took her hand. He didn't try to stop her tears, just held her hand, letting her cry. He was present. The drive home was different. Lily, still holding his hand, began to talk. She spoke about Jennifer's favorite ice cream flavor, the way she braided Lily's hair, the secret fort they had built in the park. Spencer listened, interjecting with his own memories, small anecdotes about Jennifer from before the divorce, from a time when their family had been whole. He realized, with a pang, how much he had suppressed those memories, how much of his own past he had locked away. When they arrived back at Catherine's, the porch light was on. Catherine opened the door, her expression a mix of curiosity and apprehension. She watched as Lily, her eyes still a little red but her face brighter, hugged Spencer tightly before going inside. She talked, Catherine said, her voice barely a whisper, looking at Spencer with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. She actually talked about Jennifer. Spencer nodded, a quiet sense of accomplishment settling over him. We both did. Well, Catherine said, a faint smile gracing her lips. It seems your unexpected source of perspective is working wonders. He returned to his penthouse, the silence of the vast apartment no longer feeling quite so empty. The framed photo of Lily and Jennifer on his desk seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. He had taken the first step. It was a small one, but it was a step forward. The next few weeks saw a subtle but profound shift in Spencer's routine. Elena Vasquez became a quiet, reassuring presence in his home, her efficiency matched only by her perceptive understanding of the emotional currents within the apartment. She never overstepped, never offered unsolicited advice, but her mere presence, her calm demeanor, seemed to foster an environment where Lily felt safer, more seen. Spencer found himself occasionally lingering in the kitchen, making small talk with Elena, asking about her daughter, Sophia. He learned about Sophia's dreams of becoming an artist, about Elena's struggles and triumphs as an immigrant building a new life. These conversations, simple as they were, chipped away at Spencer's carefully constructed isolation, reminding him of a world beyond boardrooms and balance sheets. His Thursday dinners with Lily became a cherished ritual. They explored different restaurants, visited small, quirky museums, and even spent one evening at a planetarium, where Spencer, surprisingly, found himself genuinely captivated by the cosmos, sharing Lily's wonder. The conversations flowed more easily now. Lily still had her quiet moments, but she no longer retreated into herself. She shared stories about school, about her friends, about her dreams. And, crucially, she continued to talk about Aunt Jennifer. Spencer learned about Jennifer's love for brightly colored socks, her terrible singing voice, and the way she always knew how to make Lily laugh, even when she was sad. He found himself sharing more too, not just about Jennifer, but about his own childhood, about his early struggles building Grayson Industries, about his fears and hopes. He was learning to be vulnerable, a concept alien to his previous existence. One evening, after a particularly lively dinner where Lily had recounted a hilarious incident involving her art teacher and a runaway hamster, Spencer walked her back to Catherine's. As they approached the door, Lily stopped, turning to face him. "Dad?" she asked, her voice soft. "Yes, sweetheart." "Thank you," she said, her gray eyes, so like his own, filled with a warmth he hadn't seen there in a long time. "Thank you for talking about Aunt Jenny. It helps." Spencer knelt down, pulling her into a tight hug. "You don't ever have to thank me for that, Lily. It helps me too." He felt a lump in his throat, a profound sense of gratitude. He was finally connecting with his daughter, truly connecting, and it felt more fulfilling than any business deal he had ever closed. He watched her go inside, then turned to walk back to his car. The city lights, usually a cold, distant spectacle, now seemed to twinkle with a newfound warmth. He thought of Elena, of Catherine, of Jennifer, and most of all of Lily. His world was still complex, still demanding, but it was no longer compartmentalized. It was whole, and it was filled with the promise of a future where he could truly be a father, a man who understood that the most important job was not measured in billions, but in moments of shared laughter and comforting tears. He knew there would be more challenges, more moments of doubt, but he also knew he wouldn't face them alone. He had Lily, and in learning to open his heart to her, he had opened it to a world he had long denied himself. The journey had just begun, but the path was clear, illuminated by the quiet strength of a little girl and the unexpected wisdom of a maid. He smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile, and stepped into the night, ready for whatever came next.